Welcome to my channel, and I'm back with you once again with another video of Microsoft Flight Simulator. Nowadays I'm exploring the Airbus A310-300, which is the default plane for the Microsoft Flight Simulator, and in this regard I'm making a series of videos in which I'm trying to break down all the information related to a flight for this plane into different videos so that it's easy for you to look for a specific information on my channel. And obviously there are so many things to do during a flight that I cannot cramp up all the information in one video, so that's why I'm just trying to make a series of videos. This is going to be an interesting one in which I will tell you how to fly an approach and land the plane on ILS when you have a discontinuity or vectors in your flight plan. I will be doing a short flight from Dubai to Qatar, and it's a very good approach in which you will find a discontinuity and a vector. So first of all, let's go and select the approach and let's see how to handle the vector and the discontinuity in the flight plan. So I have already made the flight plan, not selected the approach, and I always make my videos by keeping this thing in mind that the beginners will be watching it. But if you have no prior experience of this plane and you don't know how to do an ILS approach or how to fly this plane on autopilot, then I would recommend to watch those videos and then come back over here, because obviously I will be touching the basics by keeping this thing in the mind that the beginners will be watching it, but still there will be few things which I will be skipping. So that's why you should first watch those videos and then come back to this video, which will really help you in flying an approach with the vectors and discontinuity. So this is OTHH, and this is going to be my approach. Star, this is what I'm going to select. The standard terminal arrival. I will be using ILS 34 right, runway. And the transition is Lagma. And the star will be Tosna 1R. Now after selecting this, if you go through the flight plan, you will see that there will be a discontinuity and vectors. So here you go. You have once you are following the star Tosna 1R, you will be going through different waypoints. This is MUXED, MUXT, and then afterwards you will have a vector, and then there is a flight discontinuity, and then you go to Lagma, and then so on and so forth. So why this vector and discontinuity come? So let me just take you to the approach plate and explain this to you. So this is the approach plate for the runway 34 right. I'm not using category 2 or category 3 approach plate because I will be landing the plane myself. So that's why I'm using ILS runway 34 right, which is category 1. And this is going to be my decision altitude and height, 200, which is like 200 feet above the runway. As you can see, the runway is 13 feet above the sea level. One more thing I would just like to tell you is this, that Lagma is the transition point as we have selected before, because this is the initial approach fix for this approach, and HH911, this is the final approach fix where you will fly in the heading of 336 degrees and you will follow this glide slope of 3 degrees. So you will then land at the runway. This is the ILS frequency coming, and the heading of the runway, it's 110.1 and 336 degrees is the heading of the runway. Now if you look at this approach plate, you will see that after this point, MUXT, there is no line over here. In a normal scenario, if there was no discontinuity, this will happen. And it actually happens because of the fact is this, that if you look at the star, which is the standard terminal arrival chart, you will see that after Lagma, after MUXT, there are these arrows, and which tells you that maintain 156 degrees track, expect vectors, and expect 2500 for OTHH runway 34 right. So if you're going for 34 right, you will get actually vectors or headings from the ATC. So that's why when every time you try to populate this approach in the MCDU, you will get an error of vectors and discontinuity. Initially, if you are a beginner, you will consider it's an error, but it's not an error. This is how this approach is flown, and you fly based on the headings, and then you go for the final approach and landing. So now in this video today, I will tell you that if you have this kind of a scenario in your approach, no need to delete it because initially I've been deleting it and I just connect the lines if you delete it, and then you can fly. So let's get back to the plane and just tell you that if you want to delete it, it's very simple. Just simply press this button clear, and you will then select any of the points that you want to delete, and it will be deleted. But if you want to delete, remember this thing, that first of all you have to delete the vectors and then the flight plan discontinuity, because if you try to delete the flight plan discontinuity, it will not get deleted. So first vectors and then discontinuity. But in this flight plan, I will not delete this, and I will fly the plane like this. So right now I'm just going to take off from Dubai because it's a short flight. I didn't want to do this in the air because then things get very what you can say, I cannot find an appropriate word, but due to the shortage of the time, I cannot really explain the things in detail. So once I'm near these points where I will see vector, I will take you from there then. So right now I'm near the Hamad International Airport, and as you can see it on your screens on the navigation display, after MUXT, there is a discontinuity. So now I'm going to do some preparation for the ILS approach and landing. First of all, I have to enter the ILS frequency and the course for the landing. So if you look at the approach plate, the heading is 336 degrees and the ILS DME is 110.1. So let's first of all enter the course 336 and 110.1. And now I have the ILS frequency. What I can do is this: I can switch it to ILS instead of nav, and now I will have my ILS indicators on the primary flight display. The horizontal and the vertical indicators are coming. With this, I would just also like to tell you that in the takeoff and approach page, I have entered the minimum decision altitude, which is 213 feet, which is 200 feet above the runway. As you can see, decision height is coming. Altitude is actually measured in terms of barometric pressure, and height is in terms of radio, because the plane also sends radio signals to the ground to get the altitude. So we have both the readings over here and plus the landing elevation. I have set it to 100, although the runway for Qatar airport is 11 feet above the sea level, but as you cannot change it in units, that's why I've kept it in hundreds. So now you can see I'm descending in the profile mode. The altitude that I've set for the descent is 2,500 feet. And right now, at this point, the plane should be 4,000 and above. So it's following the constraints. And by this point, the speed should be 220 knots. And as we have seen it before for runway 34 right, the altitude should be 2,500. I'm descending in the profile mode because I also want to show you how this final approach option works. If you're descending in level change mode or vertical speed mode, then this will not work. So now you can see this ILS indicator. The diamond for the vertical path is going up because I'm going away from the runway. As you can see, DME, which is a distance measuring equipment, it's coming. So now the speed is slow. What I can do is this: I can extend the flaps and slats to 15. Only slats to 15. Let's keep it like this right now, because at 210 I can have 15 flaps and slats. So just missed it a bit, but anyhow, the plane is at now 3,500. Let's wait for it to descend to 2,500. Discontinuity ahead. Now if you look at the MCDU, it's telling you that discontinuity ahead. And now in this scenario, what will happen is this: that the plane will keep on flying straight in this heading and it will not follow the flight path. In order to get the current heading in the FCU of the plane, just bring your cursor over here and just press this button. It will push and it will get you the current heading of the plane, which is 155 degrees. So right now the plane is flying in the heading of 155 degrees. Now the plane is leveling off at 2500. This is the altitude we should be at. So if you look at the standard terminal arrival page, let's revise it again. Maintain heading 156 track and expect vectors. So right now I'm expecting vectors from the ATC. As I'm not using ATC, that's why I'm not getting any vectors. But let's say if you're flying in using VATSIM, you will be given vectors for the final approach. And again, expect 2500 for OTHH runway 34 right. So let's adjust it to 156 and let's take the plane out of the nav mode and go in the heading mode. So now the plane will slightly make some adjustment because it was right now flying in the heading of 155 degrees, but now it will go in the heading of 156 degrees. Right now you can see the runway is 21.22 nautical miles away. So now we have to actually start turning back towards the runway, as I'm not getting any vectors, although if you're getting any vectors, then you will do that. So right now the current heading is 156 and you want to turn right, which is obviously a 90-degree turn. So if your heading is 156 and you add 90 to it, you will get 246 degrees. Because you're turning right, you add. If you're turning left, you always subtract. So let's set the heading to 246 and now you will see the plane will actually start to turn. Oops, sorry. 246. Now the plane is in the heading mode. Now over here you can do two tricks. If you want to save time, there is another trick which you can do. Go to this page direct and then you can select this waypoint lagma and the plane will automatically fly towards the initial approach fix and then the final approach. But right now as I'm flying in the heading mode, so that's why. Okay, I'm not going directly to this point. Now I have to turn to the heading 336. So I will again change the heading to 336. Now you will see the plane is turning towards the approach. Now there is one thing I would just like to tell you, that in Boeing planes, if you're flying Boeing 737, 747 or 787, they have a button which is known as the localizer. So if you activate that button in this phase, when you're flying in the heading mode and you activate localizer, what plane does is this, that it starts following this flight path. Okay. It doesn't follow the glide slope. For this, that you have to press this approach button in Boeing's, but it will follow this straight line and eventually you can land by pressing this approach button. In this Airbus A310, it has a very interesting feature. When you press this button and land, it not only follows the localizer, the lateral alignment with the runway or the horizontal alignment with the runway, but eventually when you see this diamond over here, it will in the middle, it will also follow the glide slope. So this is the advantage of using this button land. So right now I can adjust the course. As you can see, I'm slightly off. I can adjust the heading in order to get back on the course. This is one thing that you can do. Okay, and the best thing that you can do is this. You can press this button land, and as soon as you press the button land, you can see the heading mode has gone, has disappeared. And now the plane is actually adjusting itself so that it's aligned with the runway. So this is the advantage of pressing this button land. And I can now set the heading to 336. The plane will actually not follow this heading because I've pressed land, so it's following the localizer. It's horizontally aligning itself with the runway. And as soon as this diamond is in the middle over here, it will also follow the glide slope. So that's how you fly this approach, which has discontinuity in it and has got vectors. So at this point, Legma, 220 knots is the speed. Let's see if this thing works. If I press the final approach, the speed should reduce. It should go to 126 knots because I've selected full flaps and full slats for landing, 30/40. So that's why the speed is coming as 126 knots. So if I press this button, final approach, the speed should reduce because I'm flying in the profile mode. But if you are not flying in the profile mode, you have a level change or altitude hold coming over here, then this will not work. Okay. Now you can see your distance from the runway is 16 miles. Still some ground to cover. I'm actually using minimums for category 1 because I will be landing the plane myself. But if I was going for auto land, category 3, then I would have used 50 feet above the ground as the minimums because it's a very accurate or precision based landing. So let's see if I press this button, final approach, what happens. Now the final approach, I've pressed this button. Now you can see the speed is coming 126 knots. So the plane will automatically now reduce the speed for the approach. So this is what I just wanted to demonstrate to you in this video. So let's go for the landing and let's land the plane and then I can finish the video. So I hope this was a useful video for you. Now in the future, you will not be deleting the vectors and the discontinuity. You will be flying in the heading mode and then you know how to follow the approach and then the final approach. It's a very simple procedure. With this, I can start extending the flaps further. At 6 DME, I will lower the gears and take full flaps and full slats. So let's bring this in the middle. Auto brakes set to medium and I can activate the speed brakes for the landing or arm the speed brakes for landing. 10 DME. Now the speed is under control, but it will not go below because I haven't got the full flaps. So once I've got the full flaps, then the speed will further reduce because with these flaps and slat setting, the speed will not go below this. As you can see, there is a red constraint coming over here. Now this diamond is coming in the middle. As soon as it's over here, the plane will actually start to follow the glide slope because I've pressed this button land. So it has automatically adjusted its course with the runway, the horizontal alignment, and now it will follow the glide slope. Some nice, beautiful features of this plane, and they're working very nice over here in the Microsoft Flight Simulator. So far, I've tried many things with this plane, and they work really good. It's really nice flying this plane. It's actually an old one, so that's why I don't know why I am enjoying it more than any other plane nowadays in the Microsoft Flight Simulator. Now you can see the plane has started to follow the glide slope, and the speed has. No, it's not reducing because I can lower the gears down to 7 DME. The gears are down. As soon as I see the green lights, I will also take full flaps and slats. Otherwise, I will get the error. No, the speed will not reduce. It's coming as 137, so you have to do it yourself, 126. So I will just do it myself, and now the speed will reduce. Now the plane is following the glide slope, and it's aligned with the runway. All the lights are on, seatbelt signs are on. I've set the brakes to medium, speed brakes armed. And with this, I can deactivate the autopilot by pressing this button 2 times. And let's get rid of the error. And now I can land it myself. So let's see how good the landing is today. This is a very nice resort. If you are landing at Hamad International Airport in Qatar, this is a resort I'm planning to go. I think they call it the Banana Island, if I'm not wrong. I was here in February, and while landing in the morning, I could see yachts going over there. It's a bit expensive, but I think the summers are a good time to just go over here and spend some time. So I might be going there. So now you can see this diamond is above, so I have to level off the plane till the time this diamond is in the middle, and then I will go down again. So if this diamond is up, you go up. If it's down, you go down. So that's how you follow this glide slope using this vertical indicator on the primary flight display. Headwind 17 knots. You can see crosswind, going to be an interesting one. Let's see if I'm able to land in the crosswind. Really struggling to keep the plane straight. By the way, I haven't tried crosswind landing on my channels before. So this is going to be the first time I'm trying a crosswind. It was a good one. And that's it. So this is how you perform an approach and landing if you have a discontinuity in your flight plan. I hope this was a useful video for you. If you've got any questions, you can ask me in the comment section. And if you want to add anything to this video, the comment section is there for you. Thank you very much for staying with me. Have a nice day. Hope to see you soon.